Hey everybody, Sean Holsinger here again with you with holsingersflyshop.com. Today we're going to be tying a really simple pattern. This is just a pine squirrel zonker. Simple, couple pieces of material, all you need to tie it. You can tie it in a cone head if you don't have the eyes, if you don't like to do that. I just really like the eyes, the look of the eyes, and I think they're a real fish attractor, so I use the eyes on it. Like I said, you don't have to if you don't have them. So what we're going to start out with is a Daiichi 2220 size 10 streamer hook. Some olive thread. We're going to use Ultra Thread 140 denier in olive. And we're just going to start by tying our thread on. And then we'll trim it off. The next thing we're going to use is micro pine squirrel zonkers. The color I'm using is fluorescent chartreuse. Now when I get these out, I'm going to show you there's a front and a back to a zonker strip. I'm going to get a little bit wider one than that one. Okay. The front piece, pull this off. You'll see what I mean. The front piece, the hide on this one is here, and the fur goes back on it, okay? This is the front. When you get to the back end, you see the fur, the hide with the hair behind it. That's what I'm calling the back end of this, okay? So this is what we want to put on the back end of the fly. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to make my tail about the length of the fly, just a little bit shorter. And I'm going to take and I'm going to separate the hair, okay? And that's going to be my tie down point. You see how I just split the hair there? I'm going to get my thread back to the bend of the hook, right at the bend. And I'm just going to tie this down, and I'm going to make about 3 good tight wraps to get it tied into place and make sure it stays on the top of the hook. Okay, got 3 good wraps. Now you see how I got that laying back there? That's going to be the tail end of the fly. Now I'm just going to pull this back, make a couple wraps here in front of it. Now this part here I'm doing, you don't have to do if you don't want to. I just like to do it. It adds a little bit more flash to it. I'm going to use some ice dub in caddis green. Any green color. You can use pheasant tail, whatever color. Ice dub. It don't even have to be ice dub. I just like the flashiness of it. So I'm going to add some wax to my thread. Put the ice dub on. Making it fairly thick. Making it fairly thick to build up a little bit of body underneath here. Give this fly just a little bit more profile than just that piece of fur. Okay. Now I'm going to take this about halfway up, a little bit further than halfway up maybe. Okay. And then we're just going to take our fur, our zonker strip, and we're going to pull it up over top of that green. Now, when I get to the end where my dubbing ends, I'm going to split the hide again. I'm going to split the fur and have another tie down point here. I'm just going to hold it and loose loop it down, making sure that I get it to lay right on, so it stands straight up and continues on the wrapping around the hook here. Now, to finish this off, I'm just going to take and I'm going to make a couple wraps in front, and I'm going to wrap this up here to the eye. Okay, now we're going to take and we're going to put this zonker strip on. We're going to palmer it on here. And what we're going to do is we're going to wrap it forward, and we're going to always, I think it's going the wrong way. It's not laying right here for me, so I'm going to have to wrap it this way. Wrap as the opposite. Okay, I want to wrap it so the fur lays back, and it naturally lays back. Okay, this is how we're going to build up the head on this fly. I'm going to wrap it up to the eye. It's pretty close to the eye, and I'm going to try to get a few wraps, probably 4 or 5 wraps, so it builds a little bit of a head up there. And I want to leave a little bit of room here to tie this off. Now once I got it up to the eye, I'm just going to go in and tie it off. Try not to trap down too much hair. And then we'll just trim. Okay. Now, we're going to take and pull all our fibers back. and make sure I got this covered down here good and tight, okay, to make a nice little head on this. Now you can see you got this nice minnow profile to the fly, okay? When it gets all wet, this will all lay down nice, and it'll have a really nice profile. It's going to be a nice streamlined little fly, a great little minnow pattern. The last thing I'm going to do before I put on my eyes is I'm going to come in with some Flashabou and a chartreuse, and I'm just going to put 2 strands of it on. Cut 2 strands off here. And I usually, just because it's easier for me, I always start it on the side closest to me, because I can, guarantee where I want it to be. It's easier to see that way. A couple wraps, get them right running down for a lateral line, and then I'm going to pull it around the other side and just going to tie them down on the other side here. Make sure I got them where I want them. And I want them to run just about the length of the fly there, and then I'll trim them off. Okay, so now I have my 2 pieces of tinsel, one on each side. Now I'm just going to build up a little bit of a head here to get my eyes to stick to. And we're going to whip finish. Now, like I said, this is a, oops, haha. Didn't get my whip finish on in time here. I'm going to have to go back and put my... Okay, this happens when you're tying. Don't ever worry about something like this whenever you're tying. Just go back and you redo what you had to do. Sometimes it's best, what I should have done maybe, would be to go in here and do a whip finish now. Okay, now anytime you whip finish, you don't have to put, 4 or 5 wraps on. Just put 2 or 3 just to tack it into place. Whoops, I don't want to cut that off. Now I'm going to go back and grab 2 more pieces. Anytime you whip finish like this, what I was about to say, in the middle of the project, that way if you ever snip your line accidentally or something like that, you only lose what you did back to the point where you did the whip finish. It's like hitting the save button on your computer while you're working. So, I mean, it's not a bad idea just to throw a whip finish on there every now and then. So I'm going to go back and just retie my tinsel. Okay. Spin it around the other side again. And get her tied down good. Give me a little room there to tie my eyes on. Alright, now I'm back to where I was. I'm going to keep a little bit more tension on it this time. And hit my whip finish. Okay, 1 whip finish will be fine here because I'm going to put some eyes on it and it's going to be covered with glue. Now the next thing I'm going to use is my UV fly finish in thick. And I'm going to use that to tack down my 5mm wind eyes. Okay, use whatever color you have. If you like fire or whatever, I just usually use wind. Just, I don't know, personal preference. That's what I always grab at the shop. And I'm going to take 2 eyes, put 1 on each side. Now, like I always say, they have a little bit of adhesive to them, but it's not enough to make them stay on to do the gluing process here. So I'm going to use my fly finish thick. Put a little dab on there, and then put my eye on. Get it where I want it, and I want the eye behind the eye of the hook, so as when we build this up, it's not gonna glue my hook eye in. And then we'll just tack that in place so we can put the other eye on. Come around the other side. Put a little dab on there for it to adhere to. Put my other eye on. And try to get them lined up nice. Nice and even there. And on the sides. Tack that into place. Okay, now the last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go in with my thick and I'm going to fill in the gaps here between the eyes so they stay in place. Okay, I'm going to do the top and then the bottom just for the sake of this not bleeding around the other side whenever I'm trying to do the other side here. We'll flip this over. It's a little easier to do it if you flip it over. Okay, I'm going to fill in the gap and I'm also going to run it over the eyes. Just as an extra precaution. Try not to get the glue on the fur because it'll make a mess of your fur. Okay, make sure you don't get glue in the eye of the hook. Okay. And that's all that's to it. So we'll flip her back over here. Okay, now common question I have when I'm using this glue, this side's a little longer and I like it. Okay, common question I have when I'm using this glue is, does the head on this, is it tacky? It's just a little bit slightly tacky. It's not real bad. Today we're using UV fly finish thick. Okay, to get rid of the tackiness I use the UV fly finish flow if I'm real concerned about it. If I'm tying for myself I don't worry about it, but customers, a lot of times I'll put some flow on it, which is just an extra little coating. This flow is what I use for head cement if I'm using the UV light for head cement, and it's kind of just like head cement and it'll dry non-tacky. So if I want to get rid of the tack, I use UV flow to answer that question that I get a lot of times. And there you go, there's no tack now. So that is a very, very simple way to tie a pine squirrel zonker. You can tie it bigger with regular zonker strips, with rabbit strips. This is just a small one. You can compare it, you know, it's a size 10 hook, just a real small, real nice size, minnow size pattern. Real great this time of year here in the winter. So if you like this pattern, we have all the materials to tie it at the shop. So give us a shout at the shop here and we can fix you up with the materials at holsingersflyshop.com. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel so you can constantly be updated with new videos coming out from us. I'm Sean Holsinger, and thanks for watching.